today we are going to talk about our undefined terms assignment. So if you're in Canvas and you head over to your modules, it may be in one of two places. If you are an A-day class, this assignment is in week 1, right here. If you're a B-day class, it's going to end up being in week 2 because this assignment will be on Monday for you. Either way, the lesson number is 1.1. So look for your 1.1 content, and that's where you're going to find it. Now, when we click on this undefined terms assignment, hold on, I have to actually leave student view because it won't come up correctly for me. If it'll ever load. There we go. So in here, you'll see where it says undefined terms, and it's got that actual like blue link. And then finally, it came up with this little window that kind of looks like Google Slides at the bottom. And you can actually work in this tiny window, but it's much easier if you click on the blue text and actually open it in another window. Now, two things that will allow you to do is, one, it lets you move it into your folder that we created for this class, or it's just like a larger window. It's much easier to work because you can zoom in and it's not teeny tiny. Okay, so all of your notes for this assignment are actually in your modules tab in the Unit 1 journal. Now, if you came to class, we already put our Unit 1 journal document into our folder. If you didn't, click on the link, add it to your folder, and change the name the same way we did for our introduction slide. Now, in our journal, the second page actually has all the notes we will need for this assignment, all of our undefined terms notes. So let's do the first 3 together. The first question says we need to find 4 collinear points. Now, what I would suggest doing is, if you don't know a word or if you learn a new word, I would go through and circle it and write the definition. So collinear means, well, it has to do with line. So collinear can actually be broken up. Co means together or on the same. Our co-workers are the people who work at the same place. The second half of this word is linear. Linear means line. So collinear means on the same line. And we want 4 points that are collinear. So if we look at this diagram, it's tempting to think that A, B, and C are points, but they're actually not. They are alternative names for those lines that they're on. If you are ever unsure if something is a point or the name of another object, check to see if there's a point next to it. It's pretty simple. So capital T right there has a point. A is lowercase, italicized, and it's not next to a point. Okay, so keep that in mind throughout this assignment. Now I want 4 points on the same line. Line A only has 3 points on it, so that's not going to work. Line C also only has 4 points on it, not going to work. But if I look over here at line B, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different points. So to answer that question, I'm going to open my textbook box and I'm going to write the names of those points. Now, it's very important that we capitalize them. The name of that point Y is not lowercase. The name of that point is capital Y. Capital and lowercase mean different things. They represent different objects. It's like, my name is Miss Caddy, but I wouldn't want you to call me Miss Chavez. Even though they both start with a C, Chavez is not my name. This point does not want to be called lowercase y because that's not its name. It's capital Z and finally S. The second part of that question asks us to color the line that those points are on blue. We have a couple options. We can use the line tool to color that line. And you've got a bunch of different blue options. I like this really bright one. I want it to be wider. Now, if it's a line, that means that it's infinitely extending in both directions. So at the ends, I need those arrows. You actually do that by clicking on the line and then using these end and start tools. You've got three different arrows you can choose from. I don't care which one you use, as long as you represent arrows on both sides. Okay, number 2 says we need a line containing point T. So point T is right here. Whoa, world's biggest circle. Point T is over here. Now there are actually 4 different names for that line that are all acceptable. The first one we already talked about. It's lowercase italicized a. So italics a, and this is where you want to be careful because if you put space, it's going to try to capitalize it. We don't want it capital. That's not the line's name. Your other options are the more conventional, more frequently used method, and that is, and that's actually to use 2 capital letters representing points on that line with an arrow, a double-ended arrow line over them. So I can choose point T and then any other point on that line. So we could do TV or TW or even VW. Those all represent the same line. But as is, I'm missing that double-ended arrow above it. So you can use your line or your arrow tool again. And the same way we added the arrow enders, I'm going to come up here and add the other arrow. Now, it doesn't have to be perfectly aligned. It doesn't have to be the most excellent thing you've ever done in your life, but make sure you have a double-lined arrow over TV. Now, I could go back and use the line tool for these other 2, but I'm lazy, so I'm going to Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste and just use this same line I already made. And VW is a little wider, so I'm going to widen it a bit. Any of those 4 options would have been a correct answer. Okay, last one I'm going to do together says, what is the intersection of lines A and C? So I love using color and notes and circling and annotating on my assignment. So I'm going to do that again. I know that intersection means where those things cross. So this is asking me, where do lines A and C cross? Okay. Now, if you want, you can do your notes in a separate color. Maybe I want the text to be like pink for my notes. I'm going to look at line A, which is right here. And I'm going to make it yellow just so I can see it really well. And then I'm going to look at line C right here. Same thing, I'm going to turn it yellow. Now, where do those 2 lines intersect? Where do they cross? We can see that it's actually at point V. So in my text box, I'm going to say the lines intersect at point V. And you can make your text box bigger so it doesn't overlap, but there's your answer. Now, the second part of that question says I need to color my intersection red. Now, the easiest way to do that probably would be to just use the circle tool and paint it red. But I want to show you the scribble tool. Here in our line options, scribble actually allows us to freehand draw in slides. So if you want to draw your arrows using the scribble tool instead, like if you want to go through, and you do have to click on scribble again every time you want to create a new object. But if you wanted to do that and put TV underneath your scribbled line, that's perfectly fine. If you have an iPad or if you're using your phone or something, it's probably easier to use the scribble tool. But that is another option you have. So I could go to scribble, and I'm going to zoom in because I'm old and my eyes are not as good as they used to be. But I'm going to choose my scribble tool and I'm going to scribble over point V. And I got to turn it red because that's what the directions told me. So now I have technically colored point V, that intersection point, red. Now you're finished with this first section. You're going to finish the next 8 questions. These 4 relate to this image and these 4 relate to this diagram. Be careful because there are large similarities between lines, line segments, and rays. So you really need to focus on that annotation. Do the arrows extend both directions as in a line? Do they only extend one way, like a ray? Or are both endpoints not continuing, like a line segment? So you'll have to know the difference between those for the next 2 sections. Okay, when you are finished, if you would like, you can actually copy your slide, go to your journal, and if you wanted, you could paste that slide in there. So now your assignment is actually in your notebook. Or you can click the Move tool and you can move it into, oh my gosh, I have so many folders. Sorry, guys. Sorry, y'all. You can actually move it into your folder. Those are 2 options. But either way, no matter how you save your work for yourself, make sure that you come back to Canvas when you're done. Go back to that assignment. And you should have a blue Submit tool or button right here. So once you're finished, hit the Submit tool. All right, it was wonderful talking to you all. I hope that you learned a lot. Let me know if you have questions, and have a great day.